So I've been at Dashlane for 6 years now as the CTO. It's been an incredible adventure, incredible ride so far with a lot of growth, as you mentioned, and a lot of new challenges every day. And I was a user of the products. I knew the product, but I Googled the Dashlane engineering to see, okay, what's out there, what are they doing from a tech stack perspective? And there was nothing. Nothing at all. And in practice, if you've done that investment in terms of employer branding, in terms of having the right interview process, optimizing the interview process, having the right onboarding organization and so on, it's kind of easier. To make your organization like sexy and attractive, you need to have the right mission and the right, you need to get the people coming because you have an adventure that is going to be the right adventure for those people.
We are here with Frederic Rivain, CTO of Dashlane, a subscription-based password manager and digital wallet application. The app services over 20,000 companies and has seen hyper growth over the past few years. Frederic's a leading mind behind the team and an inspirational tech leader, and I'm so glad to have him on with us today. Frederic, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Now, could you start by telling us a little bit more about Dashlane, your role, and the experiences that led you up to the company?
Sure. So as you said, Dashlane is a password manager. So our goal is essentially to make your life simpler and secure online, whether you are an organization and you are an employee in an organization, or if you're at home. And we hope to try and make that management of the password, but also the overall online identity as smoothless and smooth and as convenient as possible for you. And so I've been at Dashlane for 6 years now as the CTO. It's been an incredible adventure, incredible ride so far with a lot of growth, as you mentioned, and a lot of new challenges every day. And of course, obviously, finding the right people to join us and to participate to that adventure has been crucial to our success so far.
And so you've been at Dashlane for 6 years, and clearly over the past few years, you guys have seen hyper growth and expansion, which naturally lends itself to changes and new considerations for a department. How are you branding your tech department? What have you learned over the past few years about creating an environment that tech talent really wants to remain in?
The funny thing is that when I was interviewing for Dashlane at the time, the first thing I did, like every candidate, I Googled Dashlane to try and see. And I was a user of the products. I knew the product, but I Googled the Dashlane engineering to see, okay, what's out there? What are they doing from a tech stack perspective? And there was nothing. Nothing at all. And so, of course, as a CTO and as the leader to grow an engineering team, it was super important that whenever a candidate would look for Dashlane and understand what Dashlane is doing, they would find stuff. So our employer branding efforts, even though we were very small at the time, they had to start and be like a background effort, always on effort. So, okay, can we start a blog, an engineering blog, and we can start sharing our stories and what we're doing from a technical standpoint, but also how we are organized? Can we start being out there in conferences so that we start being visible as an organization in the tech community? We started also being speakers in conferences when we were a bit more comfortable with that. And we hosted meetups when our office was able to host meetups. Well, nowadays it's a bit of a different story, but at least we started putting like all those little pieces of what it takes to be a visible brand from a technical standpoint in the market. And we obviously, originally we were mostly in France. We did that in the Paris tech scene. But when we started having people in New York and people in Lisbon, we started expanding that same mindset across the organization. And that's something we still do. And I think it's really critical to be able to attract the right people, because the first thing a good candidate can do is Google you and see what you do out there. Do you have people that are an inspiration to them, that they will feel that they will want to work with them? So yeah, you need to be out there.
Absolutely. And right now we're in a time where the hiring competition for tech talent is so fierce, and there's expected to be a global talent shortage by 2030. As you said, Dashlane's a global company. You have teams in Paris and New York and Lisbon. As you reflect on Dashlane's talent acquisition over the past few years, have you noticed hiring progressively get easier or more difficult? And what is the company doing as a whole to attract top talent?
So I guess to grow the team, the first thing that's important is that you need to retain your good people. So it all starts with retention, and when we speak about the Great Resignation and those type of moments in the market, it's also about making sure that people are happy at Dashlane and want to stay at Dashlane. The longer they stay at Dashlane, then the less you have to hire in a sense, and you can just focus on growing instead of focus on backfilling. So that's really the starting point, and I think we often underestimate the effort it takes to explicitly spend time to build the organization where people want to stay on inside, and also to spend the one-on-one time with each engineer to make sure that they are in the right place and the right mindset in terms of their career path, that they're enjoying the project they're working on, they're still learning and so on. So that's a lot of efforts as an engineering management organization that you need to put even before hiring. And of course, then you need to hire to grow the team. And in practice, if you've done that investment in terms of employer branding, in terms of having the right interview process, optimizing your interview process, having the right onboarding organization and so on, it's kind of easier. It's not simple, but at least it works, and we're pretty successful at hiring despite the market and so on. The main kind of adaptations I've been seeing recently are really about mostly about compensation, because through the COVID and through the market for engineers has become even more global than it used to be. So just to give an example, we used to hire in Paris, Lisbon, and New York. Then through the pandemic, we started hiring in France, Portugal, and the US. And now we've gone even beyond that. We've opened the talent pool and we're hiring everywhere. Our only limitation so far now is like time zones. We have engineers from Colorado, I think, to La Réunion, which is that little island that belongs to France in the Indian Ocean. But we're trying to stay in that time zone spectrum because it's already quite complicated to manage. But apart from that, we're hiring everywhere. So we've opened up the talent pool, and that's also a way for us to attract the right talents, and also kind of, I don't know if the hedging it's the right word, but try to balance the compensation spectrum across internationally. So
those are some solid points that you touched on. They seem to be the main topics of conversation among tech talent during the Great Resignation. They want to see the growth path. They want to see a company invested in them, and they want to see solid compensation. So that's an amazing answer. What would you say are the top hiring challenges facing CTOs today, and where should companies even start with facing those issues?
I think if you want to attract the right candidates, the first thing that you need to have is have the right mission. So in a sense, people, especially engineers, they of course they will join you because they want to get more money and the usual stuff. But that's kind of like the basis of the Maslow pyramid for engineers. What they're really looking for is first, okay, is that a mission that's attractive to me? First, is the team attractive to me? So the second part is the people, and so that's why in your interview process, the whole team needs to be part of it, so that the candidates can be exposed to the people they will be working with. And then last but not least, of course, you need the right compensation package and the right benefits and everything else. But that's kind of not a given in today's market. But if you don't do it, then you can't make the offer and you can't close the offer. So, but to make your organization like sexy and attractive, you need to have the right mission and the right. You need to get the people coming because you have an adventure that is going to be the right adventure for those people.
I appreciate that framework. I think that's helpful as companies process through what they really need to be putting together. At Solvable, we're all about understanding what drives meaning and purpose for people in the workplace. So, Frederic, we'd love to know what drives meaning for you at the workplace, and why would you have chosen to work at one company over another?
Well, I can give the example of why I joined Dashlane. That's probably the most relevant example. I was a user of the product, so it was attractive to me to come and contribute to a product I was using on a daily basis. So that was number one. So like I said, that was the mission, and I was close to the mission of Dashlane, trying to simplify digital identity for customers. Second, it was really about meeting the people. I met with the CEO, I met with the exec team, I met with the founders at the time, and we had a good connection, a good fit, and I really saw myself working with those people and getting through that adventure with those people. And that's what sold me. So that's what I encourage people to do. Of course, in time, you need to decide that it's time for you to move on to another organization because you've been like for many years and you've gone around what you could learn from that organization. But you need to really make sure that you're doing it for the right reason, which is, okay, I want to discover a new horizon, a new mission, a new adventure, and I want to do it with the right people. And then the rest will come naturally.
Frederic, thank you so much for being on today. It's truly an honor to get to hear your perspective. If you all don't already follow Frederic on LinkedIn, I suggest you do. He posts some great insight onto Dashlane and how he leads his team. And thank you all for joining Architects of Contemporary Hiring.